Thank you so much for having me. And speaking of sort of weird habits in Zoom conferences, one of the funniest things about staying at home is watching my husband, who teaches little kids, and to have him like a full class of kindergartners in a Zoom conference is like next level Zoom conferencing. And I love hearing him say, I'm going to mute everybody now, all of you, stop changing your backgrounds. So my life in comparison has not been so difficult. So the story I want to tell, I'm going to start my timer now, is about the way I became a journalist. While I have not really done anything other than being a journalist in my life, the fact that I became a journalist was a total accident. I graduated from high school, was a very bad student. I was living in Germany at the time. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I thought maybe I would want to be an actress or something fancy, but I had no plan of making that a reality. And so I was sitting at home then, being 18 years old with nowhere to go and no plans. And I guess I got on my mom's nerves enough that she started calling people who might be able to find something that might work for me. And a family friend took pity on me. He was working at a radio station and he said, Look, why don't you come and do a summer internship at this radio station? And I said, Okay, sounds good. So I went and I did the internship, and lo and behold, this was a good fit. They liked me, I liked them, and more amazing than anything else, it seemed like I was actually good at this thing, which came as a total surprise to me because I really had never been good at anything. So thus began my big love affair with journalism. I ended up moving to this country, and I knew I wanted to continue to pursue my career as a journalist. And I was at Temple University, once again, sort of floundering about, and I was looking for a summer internship. And one of my fellow students said, I think you would like WHYY. And I said, What's WHYY? And he said, Well, just come and check it out. So here we are, 23 years later. I walked in and never walked out, so to speak. And all of these years, I have been, a journalist, a producer, and it has felt more than anything like a privilege. It felt like so many times I couldn't believe that this was my actual job, that I was getting paid to do this work that I love so much, that many times it really doesn't feel like work. And I don't think I've ever gotten bored at work. So sometimes I joked that, my life and my work often felt like such a blessing that it was a little bit like, the ball pit at IKEA in Smallland. I don't know if any of you have ever been in Smallland, but it's a place for kids. But there's a ball pit and you can sort of crawl around, and it's a little hard and it's a little challenging, but mostly it's a lot of fun. And you're in this ball pit and it sort of seems like a game. And a lot of times journalism to me, just because I love telling stories so much, it didn't feel like this really big urgent thing that I was doing that was so important. It felt like a joyful, wonderful thing that I was getting to do. Now, during this pandemic, it really has felt, as we're all staying at home and coming to grips with a totally new reality, this feels like a completely different level of journalism. While journalism is always important and what I've done has always felt important, but now we're facing these incredible challenges as a country and as people and as families, and we're all finding new ways to do it. And it really feels like people are now relying on this information that I'm and my colleagues are putting out there. It's a matter sometimes of life and death to get the right information out. So it feels urgent, it feels crucial. At the same time, now I'm responsible for a show, I'm responsible for 6 people that I manage. We're all, as journalists, facing great challenges. Will our business models hold? Will we still be around? How are we going to do this? Meanwhile, I'm staying home. I have 2 children that I'm also now sort of homeschooling, which has its own challenges. So trying to figure all of this out feels like a big challenge, but I interviewed two people who really inspired me. One was an engineer who told me he figured out how to make a 3D printable ventilator in 5 days. And he said sometimes when you're under a lot of pressure, your mind just goes into this hyper focus, right? And you can do things. And another guy is somebody at Penn who said, he was hoping that somebody would start to study why some people have this incredible immune reaction. And then he said, and then I figured out this somebody has to be me. I can't rely on somebody else to do this. It has to be me. So the way I'm looking at this challenge right now, while I'm staying at home, trying to work, trying to be a good mother, trying to be a good wife, is it has to be me. I have to come up with solutions. I have to put a new urgency to my work and to my mission in what I'm doing. And, you know, I have to figure this out and look at this challenge as an opportunity to break perhaps some things that will be broken, but also to come out on the other side as something better and as something stronger. And it feels like right now, this ball pit I've been crawling around in perhaps for once doesn't have a floor underneath it. And we might sink, but we might not. And I sure as hell hope I'm going to crawl out of this thing and come out better on the other side.